Hi everybody. Today I wanted to show you how I pushed the limits of this LT40 sawmill and saw wider tabletops than you would expect you could saw off a mill like this. I usually talk more about horses than the sawmill, but today it's going to be pretty well the sawmill. I did skid all the logs out with the horses to get these logs here, but today we're just talking about the sawmill, so I do want to show you a few things here, and at the end of the video I want to show you some coffee table tops that I made that are kind of cute, I think. I don't know if I measured this log, but it's pretty good size. Already before I can even make my first cut, I've got to take off some of the bell here on the butt of the log, and otherwise I can't even make through one cut. Usually I cut 8-foot tabletops, but I do have some 10-footers, and that's what this one is here. I sometimes will make 2 live edges, and sometimes I just have 1 live edge. Whenever I can do 2, it's better because I can always take off 1 edge if a customer wants that. So this log here I'm going to attempt to do 2 live edges. But this is just a Woodmizer LT40 regular width, so it will only cut 24 inches wide. Woodmizer does make a super wide or extra wide sawmill, and they can saw wider. I'm not sure what width they will saw, but as you can see here, I've already had to stop again and cut a little bit more off this bell, because even on this second cut I'm going to be hitting. I make my tabletops 2.5 inches thick. This first cut right here, I'm actually just making a 2-inch piece that I will pull off and put through the edger. This will not be a tabletop. So here's the first tabletop from this log. I measured it, I can't remember what it was, but probably about 24 inches wide in my guess. So here I'm flipping it over. I want to get a flat face on this log, and then I will show you how I push the limits and get a little bit wider than we're supposed to be able to cut with this LT40.
So I cut the slab cut on this side and drop it down 2 inches and make another 2-inch board that I will put through my edger. So now I have a face on this side of approximately 8 or 9 inches wide. Instead of a 2-inch cut, I probably should have just made a 1-inch cut, because it's important to have that face fairly narrow and yet still able to lay on the bed alright. Now as I'm flipping this log over, I have a bit of a hole in the other side, and so it actually fell into the uprights and got stuck, so that's why I have to slide it off that hole and so it drops into place. So now my widest face is up top and my narrowest face is laying on the bed. And what I've done is I've lowered the uprights, the arms that hold the log in place, down part way so that the log itself, because it's narrower at the bottom, is allowed to slide a little bit farther to my left. So here on my right hand side, it is going to hit the wood and stop me, so I'm actually going to lower the arms a little bit more and take my clamp and slide it farther to my left. These are the arms I'm talking about. When they are all the way up, that's when you're only allowed to cut 24 inches wide. So by lowering them, I am able to slide that whole log farther to my left, and it's allowing me to cut upwards to 28 inches. When you have the arms all the way up, generally you never have to cut anything on my left hand side. It's always on the right hand side where the problem is. But now, since I lowered the arms and slid the log over, I have some issues on the left hand side also. But that's what it takes to get extra wide boards. There's always a risk by lowering those arms too low that the log will actually roll off the mill. But generally they're heavy enough and stable enough. That's not a problem. There's a lot of extra work to make these wide tabletops. I think it's worth it, but there is an awful lot of extra work involved in doing it. And a lot of times I get stuck and get into trouble. Here's the time where I got into trouble. I didn't realize it was too wide at that end, and I didn't cut it early enough, so now I have to back my saw up, but sometimes when your saw is in that cut, it won't back up, it's just stuck there. So I got a little hatchet right there, and I shove it into the end and give it a little twist, and it relieves some of the pressure on that log, on that board, and then I'm able to back up a little bit, enough to go and cut whatever it is that I need to cut. Sometimes it's just a little bit of a knot that's sticking out a little farther, or the actual wood itself. But if you're not narrow enough for that throat to go through, it will not go through. I did another video a little while ago on tabletops, and this is the log that was actually in the mill at the same time, and my other tabletops are sitting there right beside this right here now. And so there's a lot of really rotten wood in here that will actually make really good tabletops for people that want to do it this way. Usually I do make nice clean tabletops that they don't have to do anything to it other than just plain. But this is just more of that wood that I had talked about in that other video. So that's what we're showing here now. I want to show you how the width on this, as you can see, 28 inches to the outside of that knot right there. I've made a lot of 27-inch stuff pretty easily. The 28 is really difficult because all it takes is one little knot and it's too wide. So now I want to show you what I can make out of this little pronged piece of wood. This is a big tree that split into 2 trees. It's a little tricky putting it on the sawmill this way. But I got it eventually. Just got to slide into place a little bit now. Woodmizer has on this particular mill, 2 hydraulic arms in the back that hold the wood. There's also 2 manual ones, and they're a little closer, so that's what I'm using now, the manual ones. And I actually have to put a stick behind it to hold it. So here I'm just taking the first cut off just to kind of square it up a little bit. There doesn't really seem to be a good way to turn this chunk of wood around upside down, so I had to just very carefully turn it with a cant hook and by hand and slide it into place. If I'm not careful, I could roll it right off the mill. These also are 2.5 inches thick. I think the day after I made these, a guy stopped in and said he'd take them all, so that was great. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video.